In my previous video, I spoke a lot about our first impression in Brazil. Our first destination was Cuiabá, and so I mentioned a few things about Cuiabá as well. But in this video, I'm going to talk specifically about Cuiabá, what you can do in the city, what you can do around the city, and hopefully it will help you to make a decision whether you want to visit Cuiabá. So firstly, Cuiabá is in the state of Mato Grosso, which is right in the heart, right in the geographical center of South America. We stayed in an apartment complex called Città dei Fiori, which is located near Arena Pantanal and various other interesting spots in Cuiabá. So if you are planning a trip to Cuiabá, then I would recommend that region. That worked out for us quite well. Like I mentioned, our apartment was near the Arena Pantanal. Arena Pantanal, of course, it has soccer games. Unfortunately, when we were there, on that year, the local soccer team, dropped down to the second league, so we didn't feel like going to a second league game. So we didn't watch any soccer games, but they had plenty of other events inside or around the arena. The next point of interest that I want to point out is the Sesc Arsenal. Today is a public holiday in Brazil, and we're at the Sesc Arsenal, and this is a very popular joint. It's actually kind of like a food court, like an outdoor street food festival. So yeah, we're gonna meet up with some local friends in here and have some dinner. So we picked up a few varieties, generally about 30 real per plate. The next point of interest is the Parque das Águas. We really like to go to parks, we really like to go for walks as a family. And in Cuiabá, where we stayed, our only option was really just to go around the Arena Pantanal. The Parque das Águas was a little bit further away, so we needed to catch an Uber. But it's certainly a nice park. I think it was actually the most beautiful park that we visited. In fact, it was a very special park for us because that's where we saw capybara for the very first time. Oh my gosh, this is the first time I'm seeing this little cutie. Look at this beautiful little capybara. So we're in Cuiabá at the Parque das Águas, and this is a resident in here. How cute is that? The largest rodent in the world. Oh, I'm hoping I'm not scaring it. Look at this. Absolutely gorgeous.
Oh my God.
The cutie decided to come out. Look at that. Oh, what a beautiful little creature. Another interesting park in Cuiabá is the Parque Mai Bonifica. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly. The Portuguese is really not my forte, but this park is quite large. You can go for walks, and when we were there, it was pretty hot. So yeah, I mean, yes, it's like a bushland inside the city, so it's a pleasant environment. Apparently, there are monkeys. We didn't see any monkeys. We didn't see any wildlife apart from some birds. It's a popular spot for families to go out there and have a picnic, and there's a little playground where the little kiddies can play. And the next point of interest will surprise you. It wasn't actually a park, it wasn't any monument, it wasn't any building. It was a business, Bakehouse 44. And this video will explain to you why. Now look at this, I'm just gonna pick up one. And look at the sugar content. Açúcar, 11%. 11% sugar in a bread. That's insane. A friend of mine recommended this Bakehouse 44. This is exactly what I expected to see a lot in South America. Very Mediterranean, French, Italian influence. They got a lot of croissant, beautiful baguettes, lots of other sweets.
The greetings was really, really beautiful. And people come out here and they just enjoy their Sunday breakfast. It wasn't cheap. We paid 130 some Brazilian real. But I'm telling you, it's hard to beat that place when it comes to bread.
I think I mentioned this in my other video that Cuiabá is not really a touristic destination. You don't normally go there because of the city, you go there because of the surroundings. But it doesn't mean that you cannot have fun in Cuiabá. There are a lot of festivals, a lot of events that you can go to.
We're at a fair in Cuiabá. It's very slow. There's all sort of rides in here, kids to enjoy. And of course, no Brazilian fair can exist without barbecue. Look at this setup. How good is that?
And of course, speaking of barbecue, it is unbelievable in Cuiabá that you can walk around the city and there's barbecues everywhere. Like, I'm not kidding you. We have not seen this in other parts of Brazil. We haven't been to many cities and many towns, but Cuiabá really stood out when it came to barbecue. Just random guys just set up their little stands on the street, and this is everywhere. So that was quite fascinating for us. These street barbecues really defined Cuiabá. Of course, they also had other types of street food.
We stopped on the side of a very busy road, which is very quiet on Sundays. We bought some crepes. And for the whole thing, we pay 10 real in here. This sausage-looking crepe is now ready. That's how they serve it. And there's the chicken inside. And on the other two, they have cheese.
Cuiabá is a very hot city. I think it's the hottest city in all of Brazil. Even during the winter, it is pretty hot. But they do have cold days. They call them friagem. And during these cold days, what people eat is not necessarily churrasco, the Brazilian barbecue, but they eat broth. So on one of these nights, on one of these friagem nights when it was cold, we wanted to try some broth.
We're on a hunt for some dinner, and we noticed that this restaurant over here had a long queue because they make really nice broth. They served about 15 or 20 different types of broths, including piranha. We did actually pick up a piranha. And then it also came with all these little crackers. I have no idea what these are. This one is spring onion, some bread, some shredded cheese. All up for this, we paid 99.60 real. Oh my gosh, it smells really good. First one was the piranha. It was okay. Would I have it every day? No. Rated out of 10, 6. And then we had, or I had this one. I think it's got potato in it and some kind of like dried meat. I would rate it 7.5. This one was definitely a clear winner. I would rate it 8. And I'm not going to talk about the fourth one. That one wasn't a winner for sure. In fact, I think I'll leave it at that.
So, like I mentioned, in Cuiabá there is really not much to see, but there is plenty to see outside of Cuiabá, outside of the city. So we went on these day trips quite often. Sometimes we actually stayed overnight somewhere away from the city. But generally speaking, on Friday evening, I picked up a car, maybe around 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the evening, and then we had the car all day Saturday and all day Sunday, dropped it off Sunday evening. So that was our schedule. The very first point of interest that I should mention is definitely the chapadas. That's the go-to place in Cuiabá. everyone we met, their first question was always, "Oh, have you been to the Chapadas?" And so yes, we did go to the Chapadas multiple times because it's only like 45, 50 minutes drive, and it's a very pleasant drive. The road is beautiful, and there are lots of street food that you can enjoy on the way. The scenery is beautiful, and those mountains in the Chapadas, they are very dramatic, and you can enjoy really beautiful sunsets as well as plenty of waterfalls. I don't even remember how many waterfalls we've seen, but probably about 7. And yeah, you can go for some really nice walks. The little towns, the villages up on the mountain, they have really pleasant character to them. So if you're in Cuiabá region, Chapadas is definitely something that you want to visit. It's worth the drive. Speaking of the waterfalls in Chapadas, there was actually another one that was, in our view, in our opinion, much nicer than any of the waterfalls in the Chapadas. That was a little bit further away. It was about 2 hours, 2.5 hours drive from the city, but the journey to it was quite nice. First, we went to the Aguas do Manso. This place was actually recommended by somebody, but frankly speaking, it was a little bit disappointing.
So we made it to this lake. It's not what I expected. I thought that we're gonna have a nice little beach in here where we can have a little swim, but it's maybe we came to the wrong spot. There's a boat playing music super loud. Now on the other side you can see that must be a very affluent neighborhood. Those properties look stunning. These birds over here, they're probably the most interesting at this spot where we ended up coming. So we kept driving north from the lake and came across this power station, this hydraulic power station. This river is beautiful and green and surrounded by lush vegetation. Very nice. The flow of water is pretty intense. On the northern side of the lake, we came across this little resort. It's quite a pleasant environment in here. So we made it to that tiny little town. Once again, I'm very bad with names, so I forgot what it's called. I must say it was a pretty disappointing destination. They charged the tourists a fair bit of money just to go into a patch of water, and then we ended up just driving through a dirt road and came to a bridge. This is nice, very pleasant in here.
Now this is a proper waterfall. This is called Cachoeira Serra Azul. If I remember correctly, 46 meters high. Look at the color of the water. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to capture it with my amateur camera in here. This is absolutely stunning. If you're ever in the Cuiabá region, this is the waterfall to visit. You do have to pay. We were very fortunate. We came here very late when the place was already closed. And one of the guys, he was very kind. He just actually offered us to take us here for free. We can't swim in there. But yeah, during the day, you can even swim. Oh my God, this is an absolutely stunning area. You do have to climb a lot of stairs to be prepared for that.
To get to the waterfall, you have to drive on a dirt road, and you're surrounded by bushland. Make sure you drive relatively slowly so that you can actually see some wildlife. This is where we saw anteater, for example, crossing in front of us. That was the only time that we saw anteater. Such a strange looking animal. It was super exciting. It even carried a little baby on its back. We also saw plenty of monkeys just running around in the wild. Seeing monkeys is always exciting. You know, they're always funny creatures. So that was our longest trip up north, and we also wanted to explore heading down south.
So we went for a little drive.
Turn left onto Travessa Darek region.
A couple of hours from Cuiabá, and we ended up in a tiny little village called Barão de Magaçao or something similar. There are a few people sitting in here and eating by the river Cuiabá. The setting is absolutely stunning. You can see a ton of birds, and there is definitely a lot of fish. The drive from Cuiabá to this town is actually one of the most beautiful drives we had so far in Brazil, so I strongly recommend it.
Okay, so our food arrived. We paid 85 real for this. A big bowl of rice, some feijão, which is beans, and then fish. We got some salad, and we have this called farofa, which is cassava flour and fried banana.
The pacu that we had at this place was so delicious that we asked one of our friends that we wanted to try pacu again before we leave.
So my good friend Marcus and his family, they brought us to this restaurant called Peixaria Tarumã. It's a short drive from Cuiabá. Such an amazing setup in here. You get a view on the Cuiabá River, and also what was quite fascinating is the village. This village was actually really nice and organized, nice and clean, unlike many of the other villages that we have seen in the Cuiabá region. Looking forward to try the local fish, the pacu. We tried it once before, and it's unbelievable. We asked Marcus, our friend, that we would like to try pacu again before we leave this part of the world. So he was very kind, and he brought us to this place. So for those of you who haven't checked it out, the Cuiabá River actually goes all the way down to the Paraguay River, Rio Paraguay, and then it ends up in Buenos Aires.
So this river over here doesn't look very big, but it does actually get really large. Our lunch just arrived. Look at that pacu. Oh my goodness. Look at that presentation. It's barbecue pacu. And then there is all sort of other variations of pacu. This one is the typical farofa with banana. And then there's more ways they prepared the pacu for us.
oh my gosh, this pacu was absolutely amazing. I mean, my favorite was the simplest one. They just put it straight on the barbecue. I'm talking about a 30 centimeter fish in here.
And then of course, needless to say that driving to the Pantanal is the top destination when you're in Cuiabá and you go for day trips. In the Pantanal, I mean, to get to the Pantanal, that's already about an hour and a half from Cuiabá, and you would be on the top of the Pantanal, on the northern side of the Pantanal, and then you can go straight into the Transpantanaria, and on Transpantanaria you can drive for 3.5 hours to get to the end of it, and at the end of it there is a tiny little community. I don't even know how many houses there are, but you can probably count it on your two hands, called Porto Jofre, and that's basically where you can catch boats to go and see the jaguars. So I have a separate video about the Pantanal because it's such a spectacular place. So as you can see, there are a few places around Cuiabá that you can visit while you're there, not just the Pantanal. So if you're planning a trip to the Pantanal, then you might want to allocate an extra, let's say 3-4 days to Cuiabá and explore those regions that I just showed in this video. And fortunately for us, we spent 3 months in Cuiabá and we had an absolutely amazing time. And look at the farewell that we received, completely just as a surprise.
What a farewell from Cuiabá for us. Look at this setup in here. There's a little fair. This is our last weekend in Cuiabá after spending here 3 months. What an amazing time we had, and oh my goodness, look at this setup. There's gonna be a concert later on tonight, so as we go in I will take some video footages. Just at the entrance we were rewarded with some free ice cream. I can smell free popcorn as well. So wow, this is our farewell party, I guess. Well, at least one of them. There's gonna be another one waiting for us at the jiu-jitsu gym tomorrow. Nice churrasco party.
Rough waters reveal the unprepared. Teeth of the jungle, your oar in life.